And I just want to remind everybody of a couple of housekeeping rules before Amanda takes over. First of all, welcome everybody. If you are able to join with us live, I am so glad. If you're watching the recording, that's okay too. The recording will be up within 48 hours after this check-in call. Just a reminder to turn your cameras on. We love to see all of your faces, and it's always that much better whenever we can all be there together. I will go ahead and remind you to
turn my camera on.
Oh, hey.
Hello?
It looks like we have a special guest.
I have to turn my camera on? Is that what you said?
Yeah, you have to turn your camera on, Eric. You have to participate.
Oh, all right. Hey, guys, I'm not really here for the call, but I was just sitting down for dinner and saw it in my calendar that you guys had your call now. And I just really wanted to come and say a very, plus on top of that, my battery is going to die. So I just really wanted to say happy holidays and happy new year. And just want to tell you all, I'm just really blessed to have such an incredible community of people around us, and really glad that you're here, and glad that these calls are here for you. And I hope you have the best possible time over the holidays. And I really sincerely hope that 2021 really, really is a special year for each and every one of you. I have a very good feeling about it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I do think it's going to be special. And so anyway, that's my very quick message to say hello. And it's so good to see all of you guys. I can't even read all the names I can see, but anyway, I just really wanted to come in and say a quick hello. So I will leave you guys to your normal call and say happy holidays, happy new year, and all that stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. Okay. Well, how awesome. I say it's always so good to see Eric on one of these calls. So just a reminder to everybody, I'm going to go ahead and mute you just so that while Amanda's talking, but if you have a question, go ahead and raise your electronic hand and she can call on you, and I will either unmute you or ask you to unmute, just depending on your Zoom settings. And of course, if you have any technical questions, just remember that you have that support@getwildfit.com email where the customer service team can help you. A couple of reminders just on dates. The next topic call is January 13th at 11 a.m. New York time. The next check-in call is January 20th at 2 p.m. New York time. And of course, so happy to have you all here. Happy early Christmas or happy holiday, whatever holiday you're celebrating. And Amanda, I'll let you go ahead and take it away.
Hello, hello. It feels like it's been too long. I miss you all. I see a lot of familiar faces, but I also see some new faces. So I'm hoping that with the group that we have here today, that I can get a chance to chat with most of you. I just really want to dive into it. I want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, what's going well. What are you, I like to kind of preface this though. If you have a question or you're struggling or, you know, things look bleak, try to frame it with a positive, negative, positive, right? Eric likes to do this on some of his calls. What are you grateful for? What are the blessings? And we can certainly dive into the good, the bad, the ugly as well. So if you want to chat with me live, if you have a question, if you want to just give us an update with how things are going, you can raise that electric hand, but you can also just like frantically wave at us and we will get to your question. So I don't see any, oh, Michelle, perhaps? Yeah, let's chat with her.
Hello.
Hello,
Everybody from sunny, almost warm Mexico. How was everybody doing?
Oh my goodness, we are getting snowstorm tomorrow. Like they're talking like, I don't even know, like a half a foot of snow. So I will be thinking of you with the sandy beaches and the sunshine.
Well, let me just tell you that I've become quite acclimatized to Mexico. And this morning when I took my dog out, I had to wear long pants, long sleeves, and a fleece jacket. So just saying, you know, it's all relative. But I just wanted to let you know and just share that yesterday I had a big blowout battle with my food devil. Food devil won. I experimented with some really lovely local pastries and definitely overindulged. And the experiment was entirely successful because last night I woofed my cookies.
Okay. So let's dive into and peel back a few of these layers a little bit. So I think that there's a really big distinction here when you consciously choose to do an experiment, when you choose something local, something, you know, it's very different than when you intend or make a promise with yourself and then you break that promise, right? So it's a lesson, it's an experiment, it's learning versus failure, beat yourself up, guilt, shame, all of that.
Yep. And the result of the experiment was really, really clear for me. And so I was grateful for that feedback.
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. And so are you looking forward to the coming holidays? Any trepidations? Are you feeling a little bit stronger? What's going on there?
We're not actually going to be celebrating the holidays, so it's not a big deal for us. We are pretty much in isolation lockdown here. We'll be having a friend coming over for dinner tonight. We'll be eating outside on our terrace, but I will be serving a WILDFit compliant dinner, starting off with a lovely butternut, what is that? Curry butternuts, butternut squash soup with coconut, and then some Kentucky Fried Pork and some mashed cauliflower with onion and some fresh green beans. So it's all good.
Awesome. I love it. You are making me a little bit hungry. Anyone
Sorry.
else who's feeling that vibe right now? But you know what? It all sounds delicious.
And
Thank you so much.
I'm really excited about it because it's a prospective client, so we'll see what happens. But I'm also just really excited because it's sharing food that I enjoy, that I'm hoping somebody else is going to enjoy as much as we do. And I just also wanted to mention that Jackie yesterday was talking very much about celebrating the little celebrations, the small things that are really an enjoyment. And I just wanted to say that I have started to add hemp hearts to my alkagizers. And the hemp hearts just give a nice little crunch. So I'm able to chew through my alkagizer and I just relish it. It turns it into a celebration. And I just wanted to share that as well.
I love it. Anybody else who has tips, tricks, hacks, we want to hear them. Absolutely. Thank you so much for kicking us off. Who is next? And I really, really like one of the things I'm going to throw out there, and you guys have heard me say this before, over the course of the 90-day challenge, it's about so much more than what's on the end of your fork. Wouldn't you agree? And a lot of the success that comes from those 90 days is you're building up that little inner you, that little inner like self-confidence, self-esteem, where you make a promise with yourself, you follow through, you keep it, you get stronger and more resilient. And so keep that in mind as well. Only make I think Eric has shared the story before about how he said he was going to work out every single day, didn't matter what city he was in. And there were many, many nights where he would put his head on the pillow and be like, oh God, I didn't work out, got to go do it. And so he had to keep that promise to himself, even if he didn't want to. So make sure the promises that, or the boundaries that you're setting are realistic and sustainable for you so that you can continue to nurture that little inner you. All right, I see Petra has her hand raised, but no camera. Do we have a camera? Amazing. Let us chat with Petra.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you are
Yes.
live. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I felt like we were muting and unmuting each other. So I am practicing kindness. So when things don't go my way, that's what I do. I remember that this is a journey. This is not like a all or nothing type thinking, which used to be something that I struggled with a lot. But I must say that even though I focus on the positive, from the moment I start, I mean, I don't know what measurements you guys use, so I'm just going to say in kgs. From when I started, I was 76, and a year later, I'm 70. So I lost 6 kgs. I didn't lose because I'm not going to gain it back. They're gone.
You
So
released them into the ether.
Yeah, I released them, yes. And so I'm quite happy with that. So yes, I do focus on the positive a lot. And it's not just the weight that I have released. I'm a lot more energetic. I feel calmer as well because I do a lot of the breathing exercises. I'm drinking a lot more water. So, you know, more hydrated as well. My skin, everyone is saying how amazing of a skin I have. So I do focus on those things. But my real struggle is the carbs. And I feel awful when I eat them. You know, it's sort of like an hour later, and when I go to bed, you know, I feel very bloated, and you know, the next day I still feel nauseated, and yet I cannot stop myself from eating them. And so I'm really struggling. And I was hoping for some form of advice.
Okay, so when it comes to carbs, that's a very broad category. That is a macronutrient. It could mean rice. It could mean a pastry, like what we already heard about. It could mean like a starchy carb, like from a vegetable, squash. So when you're talking about carbs, are we really talking about refined sugar, or is there a particular food that is kind of that punishment piece where you keep going to it even though you don't want to touch it?
I no longer eat the cookies and obvious sugars. I don't do that anymore. Well, I think someone is knocking on my door. Just 1 second.
I just really want to quickly ask everyone who's here and watching the recording, like, pause for a moment and ask yourself, do I suffer with this all or nothing? Like if it's like a good day, it's a great day, but you make one little slip and then the whole day is shot, or the whole weekend or the whole week. Like, I love the tip that we're hearing from Petra around the kindness piece, because we're done with the guilt, shame, beating ourselves up, right? And so switching that script, being able to catch yourself when you're in that all or nothing, black or white, like it either is or it isn't, or you're on the diet or off the diet, that treat with kindness, there you go. That's, we just had in the chat there, it's the bomb. Okay, so Petra, you're back.
Yes, I don't eat anything that has obvious sugars, and I still see the labels. I'm still very much okay with that and happy to do that. When I'm talking about carbs, is the pasta, the rice, and potatoes and bread, those 4.
Okay, so pasta, rice, potatoes, bread. Have you distinguished out of those 4 things if over the course of your food timeline, if you enjoy the first bite, second bite, are you able to pause, kind of slow down? Yes, you're saying that you're getting kind of the bloating, you feel ick. Is it from all of those foods, or is it from the combination and you're not sure which one is kind of triggering?
No, from all of those foods, I know that with bread, the darker I go, the less bad I feel, but I still feel bad. And so I think that after I finished the 90-day challenge, I found that it was quite hard to stick to to not have any of those starchy carbs, because so I was just really I have started eating a bit more animal products, because I do want to eat with the seasons, and I know that my body needs it. But I felt that doing a sort of a spring as a vegan, I felt like I was always eating the same thing. So that variety was pushing me to eat a few things. So I would go to the beans, and then I'm eating a lot of beans, and then I'm like, oh my God, I don't have any more beans to eat. Like, I can't stomach eating any more beans. And then it'd be like, oh, if I just have bread once, you know, Eric said I can have it every now and again. And then all of a sudden everything is with bread, and then I put bread to the side, and I move to the potatoes, and then I move, you know, so then I have brought in a few animal products to give me that variety. You know, but I'm still, funny enough, I'm still not getting rid of what caused the problem in the first place. And I don't find myself enjoying the first bite either. I'm sort of neutral. I'm sort of like, I don't know, it's almost like eating cardboard. It's there's no taste. You know, I remember before the WIldFit challenge, I used to really enjoy popcorn, and now when I eat it, I'm like, this tastes of nothing. Why am I eating this? It doesn't bring me any joy. But yet the popcorn is like a very rare occasion, to be honest. But the other 4, they happen very often.
Okay, so let's kind of back it up a little bit. When you are doing your food categories, when you're thinking about what is essential, what is occasional, what's my rarely foods, what is my I'm done with, never going back, like it no longer is fuel for my body, it's really important not just to say bread is rarely. Well, what does rarely mean? Is it only when it's homemade? Is it only gluten-free? Is it only, when you're in fall? Like, try to put as much decision-making done ahead of time that you possibly can when you're in your most authentic self. So that's one piece of it. You can do the little bit of work around that. I'm more interested. So when Petra is sitting down, she's trying to figure out, maybe she's lounging on a couch somewhere. She's trying to figure out, what am I going to have for supper or dinner? What is it about the pasta? Is there any conversation, dialogue? Like, what's happening before the decision is made to eat it? Sometimes I see with clients, it is boredom. It is what's quick and easy. Sometimes it is, if I have that thing, like I really used to love that thing. So they're still trying to kind of get that feeling back. What's happening in your day before you choose to have, let's pick on pasta right now, but it could be X, Y, or Z. It could be the rice, the potato, the bread. So what's the dialogue like when the decision-making is happening?
I feel like it's everything that you just mentioned. I'm tired from work. I I have it at home, so it's sort of like a quick and easy thing. It's recipes that I already know because WIldFit is new to me. So this is sort of tried and tested.
Okay, so
I know.
don't glaze over this. This is so important, you guys. Like, when the dialogue is starting, you just solved your own problem, and I don't know if you know that. When you said this is all new to me, like I have my go-tos, I know what's comfortable, I know what's easy. Like, this is all a new way of cooking. And if you fast forward 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 2 years from now, you're going to have so many different ideas and recipes and things to throw together. Like that Christmas dinner that we heard about from Michelle, like that sounds amazing to me. And I'm sure that some of those recipes are kind of new. It's like in the last 6 months, 12 months, it's like, oh, I like this. Oh, I want to experiment with this. This fits into the season. And so some of it is going to get easier. So take the pressure off yourself a little bit. Remember what I said about that authentic you, that little inner you, that you're trying to build the self-esteem and the confidence. It's so important to be realistic with where you're at right now when it comes to the pasta, the rice, the white potato, the bread, gluten, whatever you want to say. It's okay if right now it's happening once a week, but you have a plan where you want to eventually have it move down the ladder. It becomes more rarely and to a point where you no longer eat that thing, right? So a lot of times we get done the challenge and we think, okay, we can do this. We can be totally clean, no convenient foods. We're going to make everything from scratch. We're going to live in spring. All of those expectations, they may be realistic, but maybe not as you're learning and getting your foundation built and you're kind of building up your recipes and you're figuring out your part of the jungle, what's available and all of that. So that's one way of saying it. The other thing is you touched on, making sure you're hydrated. You're doing some of these things, you're finding joy, you're really focusing on the positives, you're trying to be kind with yourself. All of that is amazing. I challenge you to spend a little bit more time on your essential category. All of those things that are essential to your health, that keeps you balanced, that makes you feel your best. Have it like your happiness ingredients list, like write it out, have it clear, because probably if you are really hydrated, you've had lots of dark bitter greens, you keep up with your animal proteins, you have a little bit of movement in your day, you are going to be feeling better than, oh, I'm so exhausted, I can't make another decision, right? So try to add in more of the good, make that the priority, and we can problem solve. Like, how do we start to make that pasta maybe once a week, and then have a date where it's like, you know what, we're going to go every 2 weeks. Have a, you can set those types of goals for yourself. It doesn't have to be, again, that all or nothing. Some people it works, it's like quitting smoking. Some people do it cold turkey and they decide that's it. I've had my last smoke. They get rid of their pack, whatever the case may be, and they are done. But there's a whole lot of people in the population that wean themselves off, that start to trickle down. So I guess it comes down to how you want to live your living wild fit. So all of that being said, are your wheels starting to turn a little bit around how you might approach it a little bit differently or gentler with yourself?
Definitely. I think that, I really like what you said in terms of just keep adding the good stuff, because I'm good at that. So I'm going to keep adding it, and slowly but surely I will make those plans. I will focus now on my essential list. That is something that I need to revisit, and then just start to consciously diminish those, the pasta, the rice, the bread, all of that. Diminish it so that I don't feel, because I'm not a cold turkey kind of person. That's not going to work. It worked for about a couple of weeks and then I'm back. So if I really like this idea. If I do this, it's much more likely that it will have positive effects. Let's watch this space.
Yeah. So again, that, be authentic, be realistic to your journey, right? Sometimes we can compare ourselves to others, or we can think we should have it all figured out, get really hard on ourselves. That's the opposite of kindness, right?
Yeah.
I want to be clear. I'm not telling everybody who's on this call or watching the recording to eat pasta, eat bread, eat rice, eat potatoes, right? That's not the instruction. There's no Eric card or Amanda card. However, we need to be realistic, right? And so if you are eating a veg with every meal, if you are consciously making an effort to not eat distracted so that you can pay attention to your dialogue and your food timeline, if you're adding in some of these really good habits and you're making them like ironclad, this is part of your foundation, that's going to pay dividends month down the road, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, right? And so focus on, again, adding in more of the good. Homework for you, Petra, go back and read the Living Wild Fit ebook. I want you to focus on all of the core principles and think about how they relate to where you are right now in your journey. It's okay to have a future ideal of where you're headed, but right now in your journey, how does each one of those principles play? And like the number one is add in more of the good. So how can you make that a conscious effort every single day? And then think about your categories again. You can't revisit them enough. Like they're going to continue to morph and change. And as time goes on, things are going to move down the ladder. That's what we want. We just don't want you to say, I'm not going to have bread. Okay, I'll have it just this once. I start having it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it becomes more of a daily thing, right? So that's moving up the ladder. We don't want that. We want to be realistic, keep the promises that we're making with ourselves. And I think that will really, really help you.
Thank you.
All right, my dear. Thank you so much for sharing. I love it. Some really good tips in there, guys, around the kindness piece and just being your own biggest cheerleader. Like, let's not beat ourselves up. So Dawn is saying, those are all gateway to sugar for me. So they are on my never list. I'll make homemade WildFit bread when I go into fall, but bread and pasta, never, ever, ever again. This is what Eric would call and I would call a cascade food. So you will start to learn on your journeys. If there's those foods that 1 is not enough and 100 isn't enough, or whatever the number is, it just leads to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. The more of those cascade or triggering foods that you can identify, the easier your life is going to be, right? Like sometimes we just have to break up. We just have to say, nope, this is toxic, right? It doesn't matter if it's a man, woman, or a food. We just need to break up with that thing because we see it's not bringing out our best selves. Or you get creative like Dawn and say, you know what? I'm not okay with the white bread on the store shelf, but I am okay with making my own paleo version or WildFit version or a nut and seed bread, or you start to distinguish what is acceptable, where your line is, right? And that is so, so powerful. All right, we have a couple more hands up. Let's go to Marianne. I would love to hear from you.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
I'm in Australia. Okay.
I love it.
And it's warm here. So I have graduated from WIldFit just maybe a month ago. And so far, so good. It's been very successful. So just wanted to give some of my tips that make it work for me.
I love it.
first I really listened to Eric and I made that list. And with this thing in back of my head that it can't be always like very set list, you can change it in. So at the moment, refined sugar, grains, not all of the grains like wheat, and dairy is my no list. Okay, and some other stuff like coffee is almost sometimes, like rarely, you know. So that really helped me. The other thing really helped me is making homemade bread with grain, with seeds and nuts. That really helped me. And the other thing, I always test every day my keto on the strip. So it shows me whatever I've done the day before, how it affects my body.
I love it. So learning as you go, you are being your own scientist, right? It's like really paying attention, not looking at the number on the scale as your only measure of success, right? Really trying to learn.
Yes. So I know, for example, lemon is one of those things that really takes me out of, you know, keto, and it might not be the same for everybody else. But my question is about exercise again, because I used to do gym and I was not going super heavy lifting, but I always used to put a lot of pressure. Like I wouldn't stop till I would feel a lot of pain on my muscles. And then during doing this program, I took Eric's advice and I've been gentle, so no gym. Now I'm trying to get back to it. So, and I still like to lose another, I don't know, 2-3 kilos, you know. Not that I've been like, I look all right, but I like to have that, you know, a little bit of cut, like show some muscles. So just wanted to know what's the story. Should I do it? Should I wait till lose the weight? Still, if I want to do exercise to keep tone, what should I do?
Okay, so everyone is going to be a little bit different. Some people are struggling with PCOS, or they have Hashimoto's or other medical diagnosis. And so my advice might be a little bit different if that's the case, right? We always kind of want to look at what else is going on, if there's any medications involved, etc. But if you were someone that was working out at the gym, you know how to lift, you like to push yourself, you get satisfaction from that soreness, right? Knowing you worked hard. That's what I'm hearing from you. Yes, you can go back to it. However, you may find that when you are in fat burning, ketosis, you do not have the same stamina or capacity to do the workouts the same way that you did. So if you can approach it as the scientist, experimenting, looking at it, you may love being in fat burning, or you're choosing a spring season, but you still want to work out, you're going to have to see, you might only be able to do half the reps. You might not be able to go to the same fatigue that you had 6 months ago because you're using a different fuel source. That doesn't mean that you can't become a little bit more fat adapted, be able to push yourself, you incrementally get better. But just know that it might be a little bit different. Most of my clients who are doing weightlifting or really high intensity HIIT workouts or cardio intensive, like high intensity, they are choosing to do fall on that day because fall is sugar burning. Fall is providing a little bit more support when we're looking to build muscle, build bulk, when we're trying to repair. And so you may also want to experiment with, do your workouts when you're in keto, but also do the experiment to see how you feel when you're sugar burning. Now, when I say sugar burning, that doesn't mean go and eat a bunch of those things that you've said, no. Maybe you have a little bit of sweet potato before. Maybe you have a small amount of rice if you're choosing to have rice as part of your categories. You may feel that you can go harder longer if you're in sugar burning versus fat burning. So that's one thing I would say. I have some clients who just really feel great fat burning and they don't want to break their spring season, but they may reduce the amount of reps or they may reduce the amount of weight that they're lifting and not go hard, but do slow reps with intention, right? So you're going to have to experiment to see what feels best for you.
Now it makes sense because yeah, I did hard and I was struggling, you know, I was struggling. I couldn't, and it was like, am I so weak now? Or what's the story? So till I want to lose those weight and I'm in deep spring, I shouldn't go hard. I just go lighter and maybe more rep. That's what.
Right. So what I would do personally is I would say, okay, for the next 4 weeks, this is when I'm in spring, here are my workouts, go at it. Do your body measurements at the end of the 4 weeks, see what has changed, step on the scale if you want to step on the scale, but you're probably going to know with how you look and how things are fitting, right? Do your measurements though, see what changes happened. Then consciously run an experiment for the 4 weeks, the next 4 weeks, where you say, you know what, I'm going to try introducing some sugar burning days, or at least have higher complex carbs before my workout. So that might mean some sweet potato, might be a little bit of rice or quinoa, or, you know, the squash, things like that. And make it an effort to try to be in sugar burning when you do your workouts. And see, that doesn't mean that you work out every single day you're in sugar burning, but kind of pick and choose. And then see at the end of those 4 weeks how you're looking, how you're feeling, have your measurements changed? What did you like? What didn't you like? Put the dates on the calendar of when you're going to go back and review it. So if you're running a 4-week experiment, check in weekly with yourself. How are things going? Do I need to adjust anything? Am I more hungry over here? Am I maybe needing to up my fats a little bit over there? Am I just too tired to get through my workouts? Do I prefer bands over the lifting of the weights? Like, you can experiment over those 4 weeks and learn. But at the end of the 4 weeks, you look back at it as a whole. Okay, what went well, what tripped me up, what was hard, and then flip it for the next 4 weeks. I would go back and look at it again. And then you'll have enough data to be able to choose, okay, what's serving me? What's working for me? Everybody is so individual. So when I'm working with a client to really cut and sculpt, what I might advise them wouldn't be the same advice I would give for you. But having all of that data will make it a lot easier for you to know what's working.
Yeah, understood. Thank you very much. Can I have another question?
Sure, go for it.
Everybody talks about nuts, but we haven't got much information about seed. I mean, if seed, like we have to treat them like nuts, is it like we have to have just a handful? Because as I said, I make the bread, which is mostly seed, chia seed and other seeds, and a little bit of nuts. So nuts, I'm careful a little, but seeds, I don't know.
Yeah, so seeds are what we would call WILDFit neutral. They can fit into any season. Again, watch quantity, more for the fact that, remember, Eric talked about plant defenses, right? And every single plant has their own defense. And so with seeds, a lot of times they can be hard on the digestive tract to break down. Some people find that soaking the seeds first makes it easier on digestion. Some people will sprout their seeds and it's even easier on digestion. And so if you're not noticing any negative consequence, continue doing it. But just always observe that food timeline and just be mindful of the quantity. In nature, all of those sunflower seeds, like, think about how long it would take for you to first collect them all, then bust into them and eat them. Like, it wouldn't be one after the other, right? There would be this slowness to it. And so sometimes, because it's super convenient, we can eat a large quantity very easily. So having a slice or two of the nut and seed bread, I don't think is an issue.
Okay.
But always observe your food timeline.
Yeah, that's how much I have it, so it's fine. Okay, lovely. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much for your time, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. So there's a question from Ellen about what's the difference between fat burning and ketosis. So we are careful not to just say keto or ketosis over the course of your 90-day journey, because the typical keto diet is up to 70-80% from fats that would include dairy, fats that would include butter and lard and bacon fat, and eat all the bacon that you possibly can. Hopefully you notice that fat burning or WILDFit spring or WILDFit ketosis is a little bit different, right? We're encouraging you to eat the veggies. We're removing the dairy. It's just different. So there's not a difference. When you are in ketosis, you are fat burning. What that means is your body is primarily using fats for fuel. So the two would be interchanged. Hopefully that's clear as mud. Okay, Wendy has a question. Let's go to Wendy.
Hi, Amanda. Hi, Katarina, and everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
I have a question about, thanks. I have a question about supplements. I'm wondering, what is the WIldFit perspective on, say, like fish oil supplements? I have a friend who asked me this question. I actually don't have a lot of information at the moment, but my friend said she's been taking fish oil supplements and it's making her feeling really full at a point where she felt like she gained weight. So I'm just curious, like, what is the WIldFit perspective on fish oil supplement?
Okay, so the broader umbrella of supplements, the answer is in the name. Supplement should supplement a good diet. Supplement should be in addition to all of the good that you're doing, not as a primary way to get the nutrients that you need. There are some situations where additional support is needed. There are plenty of situations where you may choose to do something for a period of time because of a specific issue, and it's just not every single day, all the time. Eric likes to say that many supplements on the store shelves are just expensive urine because the body can only break down, absorb, use a certain percentage, and the rest is flushed out. When it comes to fish oil, it's so important to know the source. Just like fish that you buy at the supermarket, some of it is farmed fish, unfortunately, some of it is wild caught. Even if it's wild caught, maybe it's not sustainable fishing practices. And so then we can start to get into a whole discussion about what's the best quality. When it comes to a fish supplement, it definitely matters the source, and it matters also the lab's like processes. Certainly mercury can become an issue for some of them. So it's really about brand. As far as feeling full, some people react more to the gelatin or what it's encased with, what the other binders are in the product, not necessarily the specific health ingredient that they're looking for. So that might be something that you look into, like what are the other ingredients? Is there a possibility that there's a sensitivity there? If there's any kind of digestion disruption, fish oils are an intense high quantity amount of that omega-3 fat. And if anyone has taken a fish supplement in the past, they may have noticed that when they burp, it comes back to them. And it's like, what the heck is going on? So some of us will digest them a little bit better. Some companies have a coating on them so they don't break down in the stomach. They start to get digested in the intestinal tract. So I think it may be brand, but I would always start with, well, why are you taking them? Why can't you get it from your food? If you can't get it from food, because let's be honest, maybe where you live, you can't get good quality fish. You know, maybe it's just not available to you. And so you're choosing to supplement. But I would look at why she's taking it and then maybe research the brand a little bit. If you can't find any information about the brand or their processes or the source of the fish, then you can write to the company to get that information and then decide, is that a brand you want to support or not?
Okay, thank you very much, Amanda.
You are so welcome. And Michelle brings up a really good point, which is that with certain oils, all oils, in fact, it's very easy for them to go rancid or for them to change if they're exposed to light, if they're exposed to heat, if, you know, maybe at the lab, they're packaged and it's all temperature controlled. They get onto the truck, maybe the truck is temperature controlled. It gets to the loading dock, maybe it's left to sit there or it's left on the shelves, you know, maybe it's been exposed to sunlight. There's lots of things there that can start to break down the healthy properties of the oils as well. All right, who is next? We have some more time.
Amanda, we actually had one question in the chat here. Sophie says that her hair has been falling out a ton, and she was wondering if you had any advice for her. I see, Sophie, you're on the phone. If you want to unmute, you can.
So this has been addressed often in the WIldFit community group. So what I will remind everybody that you can go into the Facebook group and search by a keyword in the Facebook group. So if you typed in hair loss, all of the posts that discuss hair loss would come up for you, and you'd be able to find your answer very, very quickly, without knowing medical history. Some people, if they have Hashimoto's or low thyroid function, some of our vegan clients also find that this is an issue. There's a couple of things that is at play. There may be a nutrient deficiency, so I would definitely get lab work. I would definitely look at like biotin, what is your thyroid function levels, things like that. So rule out any kind of underlying root cause. For some of us, when we enter into spring, very much like our pets, the seasons change, the hair falls out, but then the new coat comes in and it's very different, right? So dogs have like a winter coat and they have their spring summer coat. So there may be a little bit of shift, especially if you've just been new to WIldFit or trying the seasons, where things are just shifting. The hair is falling out. It's not necessarily that the hair follicles aren't healthy. It might just be that the coat is changing, if you will, if I can use the pet reference. So I would look to the Facebook group, because there's tons of conversations going on in there, in your Living WildFit group, but also in the WildFit community group, the main one for all of the alum. And if you still have questions, post it in the Facebook group and we can try to see if there's something specific to you. But that's one of the ones that there could be some different root cause. I have seen where biotin is deficient, B12, some other issues there as well. And yes, we're commenting on the Christmas sweater. Anyone have a Christmas sweater that they want to pull out? We could definitely make it a ugly Christmas sweater party. I love it. Sophie, you are so welcome. Okay, Yasmin has her hand up. Yasmin.
Right. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. This is my first call on Living WildFit.
Welcome.
Thank you. I just graduated from the 90 days last week. Now, my question is that I suffer from psoriasis, and it's kind of improving after finishing the 90 days. But I want to know how to go forward to kind of healing my skin a lot more, because there've been sort of obviously the candida and everything through the 90 days that's come out, and I'm kind of, I can bear the pain and I can bear the itchiness and all the rest of it, but I want to know how I can move forward in Living WildFit to kind of heal my skin more, and what kind of foods I should be eating, or is there kind of a support network with people that are suffering similarly to me that I can tap in with to get ideas?
Okay, so anyone who over the course of their 90 days had a skin, whether it was eczema or psoriasis or rashes or blotchiness, rosacea, if you had that experience over the 90 days, feel free to type it in the chat or jump into the Facebook group just to share your journey, because I think that would be a really great support. You guys can always use your Facebook group to connect with like-minded. So Yasmin, your homework, go in there, type a post. Hey guys, I'm Yasmin, just graduated. Here's what I'm dealing with. Anybody else had something similar? And I'm sure that you're going to get some other like-minded souls who are like, oh my God, me too. Or here's what I tried. This is what worked. Or I still haven't figured it out. You guys can be support for each other. That being said, when it comes to skin issues, and anyone who's had psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, oftentimes it gets worse before it gets better. So you may have noticed at certain points, you're mentioning the itchiness and that kind of thing, that it kind of flares up. It's almost like it needs to have its last hurrah or something. Like, it just seems that for the majority of people who are on this healing journey, things can start to clear up, looks really, really great, and then a flare up, and then it takes a while for it to disappear. So that, I would say, is very, very normal. Spring, being in a more gentle spring, a mild spring, which would include those foods from page 6 of the weekly food guideline, things like zucchini and squashes, those can fit into a gentle spring. You may find that you have the variety you need to stay in spring a little bit longer. And it's very supportive for healing. Lots of healthy fats, all of that is really, really good. Have you noticed when you go into summer or fall that it impacts, like you have it, you can see it, you're going to be able to know if something is irritating you. And so I would just be the detective, try to find if there's any of those foods that are kind of triggering for you. And those you treat very separately, right? That being said, page 6 on the ebook. So Sophie, each week of the WildFit 90-day challenge, you got a weekly food guidelines. I would go to the week 6 food guidelines when you guys were in spring. Page 6, all the middle foods. That can help you to distinguish between deep spring of the challenge and a more gentle or mild spring. Typically after the 90 days, we don't live in deep spring. That was needed to kind of help you guys. Many of you have never given the pancreas a break from sugar burning. And so to help you get into that fat burning state, just to help reset things and really get you clean. Deep spring is a hack that we use on the 90-day challenge. Majority of people, there's a few medical conditions, I might advise someone to stay in deep spring, but for the majority of people, it's a more gentle spring, more variety. We heard from someone today that said lemon kicks them out of ketosis. I have some clients that can eat blueberries, eat strawberries, eat half a sweet potato, and they're still fat burning. It takes them a lot to kick themselves out. And so everyone is kind of in between those two extremes. Is that helpful, Yasmin?
Yes, thank you. That's really helpful. Because obviously I'm at the stage where I'm experimenting with the middle foods now, and kind of been in summer, coming out of the 90 days and experimenting with different foods. So it could be that because I've reintroduced a lot of the foods that the itchiness is there. But I've had it for like 50 years now. So I kind of, my pain threshold's high anyway, but it's something that is one on my target now to work towards kind of having the best possible skin I can have,
Yeah,
kind of
so do
healed
it
rather
with
than.
intention, right? Like what I was talking about before, where you put a date on the calendar to kind of revisit, look at what went well, what tripped me up, what didn't work, like you really want to start being the detective and looking at all of those cues. So you may run a week where you are in spring for 6 days, 1 day of summer. Run that for a few weeks, see how you feel. How's your energy? How are you sleeping? What's your skin look like? Then if you say, you know what, I said I was going to do 6 days, 1 day of summer, and that didn't work. Like I was like 5 days of summer and 2 days of spring. Then you got to jig it a little bit, right? Like be realistic with what you're able to do, but always be learning from the experiments that you're running. You're so new to this journey. You are going to get into the rhythm and the mojo. That being said, what your ratios look like right now between the spring, summer, fall, it will continue to shift and change. You may say, you know what, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to have a week of fall, and then I'm right back to spring on this date. As you go through with your day-to-day, you may say, you know what, the 6 and 1 works really well for me. I'm going to keep rolling with that. Maybe it needs to be a 5 and 2, or 5 days of spring, 2 days of summer, or you want to have some alcohol or some fall days. So you say, you know what, I'm going to be in spring, but 1 day of the week I'm going to be in fall. Like try to run the experiments and learn from each of those decisions that you're making.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Awesome. And we have some information for you in the chat around seawater that may help. All right. Who is next? We have 10 minutes left. I'm hoping I can get to 1 or 2 more of you. We've had some questions from newbies. I know because I see some familiar faces that we have some veterans on the call. If you want to just share some more hacks, whatever the case may be, I would love to hear from you.
Saw Vladimir's hand go up.
Hello, nice to meet you all. This is our first time here. I and my wife, this is Eloisa. We're from Brazil, and we just finished the challenge 2 weeks ago and jumped right in the Live and WildFit community. We're liking it very much.
Love
And
it.
thank you. Amanda, I have a couple questions because I decided on my radios. I decided to stay on spring, just as you said on the last question, 6 days and then have 1 day of summer. Mostly because one of the things that was kind of an habit was to have some wine on the weekends, and I'm trying to learn from it. I'm using my food dialogue around it. I know the risk of it being alcohol. You can get the bad consequences of abusing it and things like that. But is there any contraindication for being in deep spring in these 6 days? Because you said that most of the people stay on gentle spring. Is there
Yes.
any contraindication?
So I would say, and maybe you can tell me right away, that for my male clients versus my female clients, the experience is different. So many of my male clients find that they do just fine with a more deep spring, maybe 20 grams of carbs a day. Like they feel great, their energy's through the roof, they can tackle the world. You take a female client who follows the exact same foods and their energy is dragging, or they just feel like they can't get through the day. And so there are some gender differences, I would say, to that rule. And do you experience that? I see some nodding there between your wife, like maybe what works for you won't work for her.
She need the carbs.
Yeah, so you can honor that. I have a lot of my female clients who sync up with their cycle. They're like, you know what, that week before and week of bleed, I do better with being in summer or being in fall. Like I just feel better. My thinking, and it makes sense. Like your body is doing so much, right? So you can sync it up to like a weekly thing. But if 6 and 1 is working for you, if you're sleeping well, if you're feeling energetic, you have mental focus and clarity,
That's the case. Yeah.
then continue doing it. You may find that there is a special occasion that comes up where you're like, you know what, I'd like to be out of fat burning for 2 days this week. Just always do it with intention. It shouldn't be that you said you were going to be in spring and then all of a sudden the wine comes out and you forget all about it.
Planning ahead, you mean?
Yes.
There will be these 2 days, like for example, on the 25th, Christmas Day, to have a glass or two of wine and then consciously using the dialogue and then getting back to spring the day after. I know.
It's helpful to have it decided ahead of time so that you don't just keep on with the wine and all of a sudden it's New Year's Day and you're like, okay, it's January 1st, I'm done, right?
I'm very determined.
The other thing that I would challenge you to as well is, yes, listen to the dialogue. Like, what is it about Christmas? Why couldn't you have a couple glasses of wine on the 27th? Like, does it have to be tied to the event, to the people you're with? Try to learn as much as you possibly can from the experience. You may say this Christmas that you're having a few glasses of wine and you totally enjoy it. You get back to your 6 and 1 ratio, everything's good. And then next Christmas, you say, you know what, I'm going to run the experiment not having wine this Christmas. What can I learn from that? And then you'll be able to know, does it serve me? Does it not serve me?
Yeah. And because there's one thing that you all say that it takes about 3 days for your body to get to fat burning mode.
Okay, and before you finish that, all the women cover your ears because I have a feeling he's going to say something that's just going to be like, what are you talking about? Okay, continue.
No, it's just that I'm thinking about the radios. For example, I'm pursuing an objective of losing 4% more of body fat. That would mean 3 to 4 kilos. And then I want the best efficiency of the process. And then if I'm doing a 6-to-1 radio, and if I have this summer or fall day on Saturday, let's say, I would take 3 days to get into fat burning again. So would you say this radio is kind of acceptable for such an objective?
Does it take you 3 days though? You may want to get the keto strips or test your ketones, whether with blood or urine or the breathalyzer one, because everybody is different. And why I told everyone to cover their ears is because many times My male clients get into fat burning with a lot less convincing. So it may be that the more you cycle in and out of the fat to sugar burning, that your body gets more efficient. And it's like, oh, these foods are available, I'm burning fat. Oh, these foods are here, I'm burning sugar. And it just is quicker. So you may find that it takes you 30 hours to transition from sugar burning into fat burning, right? But you're only going to know that information if you're testing. So with the keto strips, cheap, easy. I don't care about the number or the color. If you have any color at all, you're burning ketones. So that can help you to know, okay, I have wine on Saturday. Am I in fat burning on Sunday night? Am I in fat burning on Monday night? Am I in fat burning come Tuesday? If you find out that it takes you 3 or 4 days to make that switch, maybe that's not the best ratio for you. Maybe you want to extend it out and say, do 10 days of spring with 1 or 2 days of summer, repeat. Some of my clients will do a 2-week rotation. So it's 12 days of spring, 2 days of summer. So they know out of that 2 weeks, just extend it out.
Yeah. We have bought the blood strips analyzer, and then some of the colleagues on the group just sent me a link to an article telling me about the range, which dosage would be correct for you being in ketosis. But if anybody has some experience of the right dosage in the blood strips, I would thank you all very much, because there is the range on the product that says from 0.2 to 0.6 normal, 0.6 to 1.5 it is high, and if you are diabetic, if it's above 1.5 you would be at risk for ketoacidosis. It is a medical emergency. But if I take the information from the urine strips, any value would be nice with the blood also.
Yeah, you just want to know that ketones are being produced. So even in that, like if you were at 0.6, 0.7, I would say keep doing what you're doing. I don't care so much the intensity. Now with the blood versus the urine strips, it is a little bit different, because the urine is measuring the excess. So whatever your body isn't burning for fuel, it's flushing out the kidneys, right?
Okay.
So that's why I don't care so much the level. The blood is a little bit more precise. So that's why you have those ranges.
Of course. Okay, there was something else, but I just forgot it. I think it's okay for now.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and nice to meet you personally.
So nice to meet you. This brings up a really good point. So in your 90-day challenge, we tried to, like Eric created a program, and the coaches tried to create the least opportunities for you to fail, right? And so we don't get into some of these deeper conversations about, well, what about the ranges for my blood monitor? Or what about seeds and the plant defenses? And we try to just, I don't want to say surface, but we just give you the least amount of things to worry about. But in your Living WildFit, in this membership group, this is where you get to go deep on like whatever nutrition things you're thinking about, or habit things, or production things, or performance habits. Like this is where you can start to have those deeper conversations. And so post in your Facebook group. You don't have to wait for these live calls. And certainly if there's something that you want addressed on a call, if you post and tag us, we'll make sure that we address it. But this is where the community really starts to go next level, right? This is the Living WildFit membership and the benefit of joining. So I see that there is a special price link that has been posted into the chat. And just reminding that there is a January 4th challenge. The only thing I want to say on that, anyone who has recently graduated a WildFit 90-day journey, it's really important that you don't jump into a second challenge just like, oh, I haven't got this figured out, like got to do another 90 days. Most people need a coach to help them through repeating the challenge once we've already done it. Couple of reasons. One, Your food devil is like, we know what's coming. We can get back on it tomorrow. It has all the arguments to say, oh, Eric said so. So that means we can bring back everything. Forget about your food categories and the work that you did the first challenge. You might find it's a real slippery slope. And oftentimes the coaches will tailor the message for those who have already done the challenge before. But also, I want you to learn. I want you to know what works for you. Remember what I said, like what's serving you, what's not serving you. And so living WildFit outside of the challenge enhancements or the rules really help you to learn like what's working for you on an individual level, right? And so there is benefit to repeating the challenge. If you are someone who's sitting there thinking, I'm struggling, I miss my community, I miss the daily videos with Eric, those are all really positive reasons to jump in. Many people, first time around, maybe they had some foods they didn't play full out with, or there's still those 1 or 2 or 5 foods that are causing them issue and they want to go deep with them. Those are all really great reasons to jump into repeating a challenge. Sometimes we have people say, well, why does someone have to do the diet again? Well, that's diet mentality, so we don't go there. But there is benefit to having the community, the support, the structure, the accountability, and some of those pieces. And so I would say if you're thinking about repeating the challenge, if you're on the fence about it, if you're not sure about it, you can always post in the Facebook group, and we are happy to help. All right, that's it. Kat, anything else that I forgot?
Nope, that's it. Thank you all so much and happy holidays.
Happy holidays. All right, I'm going to mute you to say your goodbyes. Kat, if you want to stop the recording, up to you. Unmute.